Hello, my name is Raven Shree and my company is called Wild Soul Wanderings. And today I am blessed and honored to be a guide and a mentor and a companion to you and with you on this journey today into the magic and the medicine of SoulCollage. So welcome to this initiation and introductory program to SoulCollage. This recording has several different experiences that are going to come to play and come alive to support you in gathering your supplies and creating your creation station and creating cards and exploring your creations in deep soul meaningful ways. I'll also be sharing with you the construct of SoulCollage so that you have the information to continue creating cards on your own well into the future. And because this is a video, if you need a little bit more time to get things set up than what I offer in this recording, by all means, feel free to hit pause, do what you need to do, and then come back. So as I start out with this ceremonial art creation event with you in this moment, I want to send a prayer into Angel Land to the creator of SoulCollage, Sina Frost. And I'm grateful for our ancestors that create medicine tools and magical realms and educational information that can be passed to us, their future generations, for us to work and coalesce with and evolve and package it up for the next generations to come. So I wanted to honor Sina at the beginning of this invocation. I completed my SoulCollage facilitator training with Sina about 10 years ago. And since then, I have been offering various types of SoulCollage workshops and immersions, both in California and in Colorado. And I'm really excited today to take this workshop, which is typically an 8-hour program in person, to take that model and to compress it and change the format and offer it in this fashion in an hour and a half experience with you over the internet. I am so excited to get this energy, this information, this activation out there into internet la la land. SoulCollage is an amazing and quite inexpensive form of therapy, form of self-exploration, self-expression, and it's a whole lot of fun. So there are pre-formatted size cards that you can either buy already cut, or you can get hard stock paper, cardboard, matte paper, and cut these down to your own size. One of the main tools of SoulCollage is using magazines or maybe even books that you get at a thrift store and your own photography. And so using these resources is a great way to recycle paper and reuse images that are really profound and amazing in your artwork. So you don't have to be an amazing drawer or painter to play in the depths of this form of art. You're using images that are already available in recycled materials for your expressions. In this workshop today, I'm going to be sharing with you several techniques and principles of SoulCollage so that you can create your own deck of cards. We're even going to have time and space in this workshop today, in this recording, for you to create your first card. And each one of your cards expresses a different aspect of your inner and outer world, your past, present, and future. And I'm really excited to share this etheric space with you on this journey. So welcome. Shoo, shoo, shoo. So each one of us as human beings goes on a grand, epic adventure in life. From being shot out of a vagina into a body, into this world, subject to the forces of gravity. Wow, that is your initiation into this world. And then you're with this family unit and you go through infancy and childhood and all of the growths and traumas and hopes and joys and elements of that experience. And then comes adolescence. And that has so many different components to of finding self and pushing away and peer groups and all of these different ideas of individuation and authenticity that grow us into adulthood. And so that's a pretty grand adventure in and of itself. And also along the way, there are demons and dragons that we must slay. And there are elixirs and there are medicine potions that are available to us. And as we slay these shadows and consume the light and we alchemize all of these lessons from our life experience, we are here in this moment with this large life story inside of us. And also, living as a human being as a living human, there's this duality, there's this inner experience that only you have of your thoughts and your feelings and that visceral component of being alive. And then there's that external, that personification, that's who you show up in the world. There's this inner and outer part of your existence. And so, along the way, as you're journeying along your heroes and heroine journey with this inner and outer world dimension always present, character traits and personalities and aspects of you develop. And some of them you own and love and appreciate and will lead with. And some of them embarrass you and have shame and guilt, or they keep you constricted, or some aspects of you you may not even be aware of. And so there's these different components of you that sometimes work together and support you, and sometimes they don't, and there is this counterintuitive clash that happens inside. And so all of these dimensions of being human and divine are a part of our experience. And so through art, and specifically through SoulCollage, we're able to express these aspects of our life in a way that helps us metabolize our experiences and condense these lessons and share them with others as a way to honor our shared experiences at an archetypal, symbolic, metaphorical level. And so that's what SoulCollage offers you, is the ability to see and name and express and honor your life journey with all of the bumps and bruises that come with it, with all of the joys and amazements that come about from being alive. And so through creating your deck, you get to engage your truth and create basically a visual autobiography of your life that allows you to see your grand epic adventure at varying levels. And it gives you a mechanism to share your creations, to share yourself with others. They get to hold your cards in their hands and understand and know you at a very deep level without you even saying a word. That is powerful juju, folks, and that is what we are going to be creating today. One of the key elements of SoulCollage is that as you're creating your deck of cards, and you can have as many cards in your deck as you'd like. I have several hundred. One of the main mechanisms that creates this powerful communication tool is that each one of your cards has its own unique voice. So if you are wanting to make a card around the theme of mother, you might create a card that gets that energy alive. However, as you start to tap into the theme of mother, there are different energetics of that archetypal function. There's the personal mother that you had. There's the mother of Mother Earth. There's the destructive mother. There is also, even within each of those realms, there are different voices that happen. So your personal biological mother had different aspects of herself and different ways of relating with you at different points in your life. And so being able to segregate out those energetics through various cards allows each one of those individual voices to come forward. And in that regard, each one of those voices gets to be named and witnessed and honored. So sometimes when people are creating cards, especially shadow cards, they'll start to put the images on their card, and that shadow is so big and so intense. And so some people will try to put images over it, but I healed this and I'm doing better here. And they'll start to lay images over that shadow component. And so what I would recommend to think of and play with as you create your deck is that shadow card should have its own space. And then the ways that you healed and the way that you're getting better and the light sources around it, each one of those has their own unique cards. And so in that regard, you get to really express and individuate the nuances in a really beautiful way to support your wholeness. Time to move into the next section of our deep dive into SoulCollage. So let's look at some of the suits of a SoulCollage deck. You'll need the handout that was sent to you in your introduction email. So take a moment and get this in front of you so you can jot down some notes. If you don't have the handout handy that I sent, I'll go ahead and be drawing the map as we go on this journey through the suits of SoulCollage. So the first suit that we're going to explore in the SoulCollage deck is the committee suit, and that is located on the top of the handout. And I'm going to go ahead and draw it here on the top of the medicine wheel. So the committee suit of cards in your SoulCollage deck represent the different roles that you perform and play in your life. We all have different roles and personas that we put on and act in our lives. And so the cards that you create in this suit of your deck explore the shadow and light aspects of these parts. So as you reflect on your day, what are some of the roles that you step into throughout a common day in your life? Whether it's mother, father, parent, child, brother, sister, accountant, doctor, teacher, nanny, human, animal, consumer, housekeeper, lover, friend, confidant. So there's all these different roles that we play. So take a moment and jot down a few of the roles that you play and perform in your life. And this list is a great inspiration for cards that you can make in your deck. All right, so let's move to the next purple station. Over here is the community suit. So the community suit honors and represents and celebrates the people and animals and teachers and beings that have influenced and shaped your life. We are humans, we are a social animal, we are born into blood families, and we find our soul spirit families along the way. We are influenced and crafted by mentors and teachers, and even those that trigger us become teachers if we can hold that container for the lessons to come alive and the evolution to be seeded and cultivated. And so honoring your loved ones and teachers in your SoulCollage deck through the community suit is a really fun exercise of love. And so in addition to using cutout images from magazines, you can also print up pictures of you and your loved ones and put them on the cards. SoulCollage cards that have your own personal photography on them have super duper extra magic in them. And so some of the cards that I have in my personal deck, here is a card that I built around my grandmother. And these are actually pictures of me and her. And it makes this card extra special. And I was a caregiver to my grandmother for many years, and so this is a card from my grandmother. It's also a role that I performed in my life for many years, a caregiver. So that can be a committee card as well. So you'll notice that cards can span different suits in a deck. So I have some amazing friends in my life that are my family, and so I have created cards around some of my friendships. And so this card actually focuses on me and one of my friends and the journeys that we've taken together. And then I also have another card for another dear friend, and this card speaks more to an energetic of hers that I love and appreciate. So as you're making cards in your deck that honors people, there's so many different aspects to people. So as you look at your relationships around mother and father and friend and partner, you can celebrate that which you love and appreciate about the person. And also, if there are shadow aspects of this individual or shadow aspects of your relationship with them, you can create cards around that and share that imagery with them. And it's a great communication tool. It opens up wonderful dialogue, and it starts and it anoints that conversation in a very symbolic, soul-driven way that doesn't even really require words to really communicate depth. So that is the community suit of SoulCollage, creating cards around your teachers and loved ones. And so I'll draw that over here on our map. Da, 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 community. Da, da, da. All right, so we've looked at the roles that we've performed and the relationships that have shaped us. So now let's look at the next purple, which is down here in the bottom of the wheel, the council suit. The council suit represents archetypes. Archetypes that shape and influence you on your journey in life. So what are archetypes? Archetypes are patterns of personality that shape who we are simply by being members of the human race. So regardless of culture or age or era in which you live, there are core personality constructs that are inherent to humanity. Whether it is mother or father or teacher or student or guide or angel or devil, there are these archetypal forces that represent aspects of being human, and then they take that representation and they engage a symbolism that speaks at this collective level. And so different cultures have different images and symbols for these archetypes, but the essence of the energy of these personality traits are common throughout all. So a common archetype of being a human is the archetype of mother. And the mother is the birth channel. It's that primary ground that gives life. And mother can be seen as the nurturing mother, or mother can be seen as the destructive mother. Both are forces of this archetype. And how mother looks and represents from Catholic religion to Middle Eastern to American to Indigenous, Indonesian, African, all these different cultures have the essence of mother, but the symbols look different. Some people ask, what is the difference between the committee suite, the roles that I perform, and the council suite, these archetypal forces that influence my life? And so I want to speak to that. The council is this archetypal motif that is collective. And the committee suite is how that collective manifests in your personal life. So we have the collective and the personal. So there is this collective archetypal force of mother, and you may want to explore that and create cards around the Mother Earth or Mama Gaia or Mother Teresa. And there's also the destructive forces of Mother. So maybe you want to create cards around the yoga priestess Kali that destroys, or maybe it's around Pele, that volcano fire goddess. And so exploring that collective symbolism of the archetype that infuses all of humanity has a different voice, a different essence than the cards that you may create in your community deck or committee deck. And so to explore the theme of Mother in your deck on a personal level may be around your personal biological mother, or the mother that raised you, or the shadow and light features of her specifically, or how you were grown and evolved through that specific relationship with her. So that is a nuance between those two different suits on the deck, the collective and the personal. So each one of us has a council of core archetypes, and they influence us. Whether we know them or name them or not, they do ask to be lived through our humanity and through our living. And sometimes they show up in bright and light ways, and sometimes they show up in dark and destructive ways. So both are necessary. Shadow and light are core parts of being human and are core parts of the complementary cycle. Some of the archetype cards that I have in my personal deck, I love this. This is actually one image. And so it's really fun when you can make a really profound soul collage card using only one image. And so this one is, I am the one who stands in the light to watch my shadow run. Yes. And another archetype that's present in my life quite a lot is the inner critic. And so I have quite a few cards in my deck around the inner critic. And each one has a little bit of a different tone, but I wanted to share with you that creating cards around the same theme can show you different ways that this energy is alive in you. So we've journeyed through this medicine wheel, and now we're going to land on the companion suit. The companion suit in Sina's model is a journey to find and communicate with your animal totems. And the lovely way that she brings this alive in SoulCollage is exploring these animal totems through the energetic centers of your chakras. And so I absolutely adore and love that idea that there are these different totem animals that guide and inspire different chakra frequencies in our life. And so I expand my play in this suit by calling in angels and guides in addition to the animal totems and how they infuse and inspire my chakras. And so I will write the companion suit over here. And so I want to point out this access over here. On one side we have the community, these influences that have shaped and inspired our life, more on a people level. And then we have the companion suit over here that brings in the forces of animals and guides and spirits that inspire us. So I like having these across from each other on this deck. So in Sina's model of SoulCollage, these are the four main suits that she brings alive in what she calls the 4 C's. And so as I worked with this model of SoulCollage in my life, I found that there were some other suits that I wanted to bring alive in my own practice. Maps that support me in my journey, in addition to these 4 specific containers. So on the handout, the items that are in purple are a part of Sina's model. Now in Sina's model, this is how she taps into the chakra system, finding different animal totems per chakra. I am the chakra lady. This is a core map of my life. And so I created my own suit here specifically for the chakras and to explore a wider realm of it, not just the animal totems, but more of the physical and psycho-spiritual experiences of each of these realms. And while this is not a chakra recording, I want to provide just a quick high-level overview of the chakras. So everything is made of energy and it vibrates at different frequencies. And that's how we get the colors of the rainbow. And that's how we get the different elements of earth and water and fire and air and ether and light and thought. They're all made of energy and they vibrate at different frequencies. And the chakras are these energetic portals within our being that interact with these energetic frequencies in the world, thereby bringing us into relationship with this collective. And we can personalize it and work that energy in our own space as well. The chakras are definitely a core way of how I process the world, the shadow and the light and the journey. And so I knew in my personal presentation of SoulCollage, the chakras needed their own suit. And so I will put the chakras over here. Another core map that I use to navigate the terrain of life is the medicine wheel. The medicine wheel speaks deeply to my soul, and it forms the foundation for how I weave together so many different thought systems. It's ultimately what inspired me to take this model into this circle route and explore SoulCollage through this realm. So the medicine wheel is a map. It is a map of the seasons, of the day, of a year, of a lifetime. And there are these different archetypal essence that are found in each of the quadrants of the medicine wheel. And because this is such a deep and rich map in my life, I knew that I needed its own suit in SoulCollage to hold a container for that expansiveness. Another suit that I've added to my medicine wheel is the hero's journey. So some of you may be familiar with that terminology, the hero's journey, which was coined by Joseph Campbell. And it highlights that basic journey that we as heroes, and to be human is simply a heroic effort in and of itself, and how we get called on these adventures and move through portals and slay dragons and find elixirs and drink these wisdom sources and evolve in our being, and then come back into our communities to offer the lessons that we've learned along the way. And so I will write the hero's journey up here on our diagram. Another element that I've added to this 8-quadrant medicine wheel is tarot. So tarot, what is tarot? So a tarot deck is a deck of imaged cards, and basically there are 2 parts to a tarot deck. There are the minor arcana cards, which are the spades and the diamonds and the clubs and the hearts, and these represent different aspects of our day-to-day humanity. And also in a tarot deck are the major arcana cards. These are the cards that represent those archetypal themes of our hero's journey. And so that is another way that I like to explore SoulCollage. So I want to point out in Sina's model, she has the 4 prongs that are purple, and these are amazing containers. However, there are some other maps in my personal life that I offer workshops and trainings and ceremonies around that I wanted to add into the mix. And I added those in the orange areas. And so by adding these 4 new features, I was able to create cross energetics that support one another, and that's so freaking fun and exciting. So this gives you an example of how flexible and versatile SoulCollage is. You can add your own suits to this deck based upon what inspires and leads you in your own life journey. So one thing I want to point out on the handout is down here you can see that I have source, soul essence, and witness. And these are called transpersonal cards in Sina's model. Now, in my model of the SoulCollage medicine wheel, these aspects are integrated into this upper diagram space as well. So the witness in chakra talk is connected into the brow chakra. The witness allows us to observe non-judgmentally our thoughts and experiences. And from this neutral place of observing what's happening, that wisdom can then come through and be manifested in our life. So the witness I do integrate into the chakra suit. The next item that I want to talk about is source. So in the chakra talk, source is that crown chakra area, that oneness, that is everything. And so that is the crown chakra. So once again, source is integrated into the chakra suit in this medicine wheel motif that I'm sharing with you. Also, source, because it encompasses everything, is also represented by the circle here. That's bringing and unifying all of these different suits together into this one whole of equality. And then soul essence. So soul essence is that the spirit and the expansiveness and allness of source gets compressed down, and there's a drop of that source that gets dripped into you, into your ego, into your I, into your unique you living in this world. Pow! And that soul essence is how source is lived and expressed through your unique you-ness. And so that is how I've integrated these three transpersonal cards into the medicine wheel diagram that we've been exploring. Soul lessons. So those are the different suits of a SoulCollage deck. Yay! So keeping this handy and creating cards in all of these different suits will help you explore yourself from so many different perspectives, so many different heights and depths. And so here's the suits of a SoulCollage card. Now let's start making them. Yay! Let's go ahead and gather our supplies and start creating our SoulCollage creation altar space. And so to honor this creation time together, I will go ahead and light a candle for us. It's calling in the light of imagination and creativity and insight and community as we all come together in this time and space to deepen our languaging of soul. Let's call in the magic of the elements, earth, water, fire, air, as a tool to inspire and anchor us into this creation process of gathering our supplies. And so first with the element of earth coming into your body, being present in this experience that we are crafting in this moment. In the prep email that I sent you, there were a couple of links to different kinds of supply purchases that you could pre-order to have handy with you in this call. One of them was a link to this card pack, and another one was a more deluxe version that came with some of these plastic covers and some glue sticks in it. So for this first part, you'll need a card from your pack. So go ahead and take a moment and get one of these cards available. One thing I want to point out is this is a very specific size. So SoulCollage works with this particular size of card. And sometimes it can be challenging to create in this limited space. It seems so small. But that's one of the magical tools of SoulCollage. The size of the card, which you can create on up and down or sideways, or on the blue side or the white side. So you have this landscape. This is your earth foundation body that you put your collage creations on. And because it is smaller, it does help drive a condensation and a focusing in on supporting you with creating one voice per card. So now let's call in the element of water by bringing in our glue sticks. So glue sticks are really the best thing to use in SoulCollage. As you do this practice, you'll find the brand and the thickness and size that you like. When I am gluing images to my card, I go a little bit light on the glue. That allows me to go ahead and adhere the images to the card, but I can slide things around a little bit easier to get the best composition. So I encourage you to go lighter on the glue and then add more as you move through the creation process. And now we're going to call in the element of fire. And how we're going to do that is with our scissors. So fire is the element that allows us to see. It allows us to focus our intention. And that's what our scissors are going to allow us to do. We're going to be able to find a big image in a magazine or a book, and we're going to be able to use our scissors and to focus our imagery into a certain image that we'll be using in our cards. So you're going to want to go ahead and have your scissors handy as well. One thing I want to point out as you are cutting images is there is full permission for you to cut whatever you want out of the image. So you might go in a magazine and find a full page image that feels appealing, but as you start focusing in on it, there might be a sun or a car or flowers or a face or a hand in that larger image that you want to cut out and bring a little piece of that into your larger creation. So full permission to be creative and cut out exactly what it is that you want. And you can cut out in creative ways. You don't have to cut an image in square forms. You can cut around the image. You can be with creative. You can even tear paper and do cards with torn paper edges. Another item that you were asked to bring to this art workshop was a piece of bond paper. A piece of paper that has a little bit of thickness to it. So you're going to want to go ahead and have that handy. And so with your bond piece of paper and one of your card samples, you're going to place that card in the middle of your bond paper, such as this, and place it down on your workspace. So go ahead and take your piece of bond paper and place it flat on the table. And then you're going to take your SoulCollage card and you're going to place it in the center of the bond paper. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and create a frame. So you'll need a pen also. A pen is another intention focusing tool. So go ahead and take your hand and hold the card down on the bond paper and take your pen and go ahead and trace around this card, such as this. And so I have made a tracing of the SoulCollage card on this piece of bond paper. Then you're going to get your scissors and we're going to cut this triangle out of the bond paper so that we can create something like this, which is a SoulCollage frame. And so how I do that is I take my bond paper and I kind of fold it like that, just gently. And I take my scissors and I make a little mark, and then I cut the inside out. The SoulCollage frame is a very important part of the SoulCollage process. So go ahead and take a moment and make your SoulCollage frame. Once you've created your Soul Collage frame, this will be an amazing tool that will support you with composing your images. And you can experiment and use this frame to see how your images will lay out in a particular format. So this is a Soul Collage frame, and you might end up having a couple of them in your supply materials. All right, so we have our Soul Collage cards, we have our glue sticks, we have our scissors and a pen, and we now have made Soul Collage frames. A few other items I like to have handy when I'm creating Soul Collage cards are a few file folders. These serve as a really steady foundation for me to make my creations on, and it becomes a little table that I can use to keep my art pieces together. Another thing I like to have are X-Acto knives and cutting boards so that I can do some fine-tuned cutting around my images. So now let's move into the element of air. And let's go ahead and take a deep breath, maybe even a couple. Soul Collage is a really powerful process, and sometimes there is no place to hide when you are creating your cards. And sometimes the imagery that shows up in your cards might be really intense for you. It might make you laugh, it might make you cry. It may bring up feelings and emotions or the desire to move or emote. So what shows up in your creations is a really powerful mirror process. And so what I encourage you to do as you are making your cards is to breathe. Allowing the moment to permeate your flesh, allowing your flesh to permeate the moment, and to continually come back to your breath as part of the medicine process, as part of the alchemy process of Soul Collage. Also, the element of air is an energy that activates our imaginations and our thoughts and the possibilities that we can imagine with our brains. And so one of the other items that was requested of you to bring to this call was a couple of magazines. So I have this magazine, and then also another way to really have fun access to amazing imagery is to go to thrift stores and actually buy books. Dance is an amazing part of my life, so I actually bought this book that has a lot of amazing images in it. So thrift stores are a great place to find very inexpensive collage materials that will support you in creating some amazing imagery in your Soul Collage deck. So go ahead and get your magazines handy so that these are available for you as we begin to look for images for our creations that we're going to co-create during this time together. So these are the items that you'll need as we move into the creation time for Soul Collage. And so as you continue to get your creation space together, I'm going to go ahead and sage my area and then also blow a little bit of sage your way to really help honor and ignite this creation process that we are going to be moving through in this etheric technology portal. And so welcoming in creativity, welcoming in the ability to allow the inner child to play and create, honoring this time and space and all of the materials that we have access to create our first round of Soul Collage cards together. All right, so there are two main ways to create Soul Collage cards. One is in an intentional way, where you want to create a card around a specific theme or suit in the deck. The other way to create cards is the intuitive way, where you simply start out on a journey and see what images find their way to you and what card intuitively manifests in the moment. And that is the journey that we are going to be taking right now in this section as we start to create our first Soul Collage card together. An aspect of creating cards in an intuitive way is to simply allow the imagination and your creativity and your intuition to simply create the card. And sometimes when you're making the card, you may not have any idea what it means or what it's evoking. It's just coming together. So there's this process of trust and surrender that we get to experiment and play with through this process. So for this next section, what you're going to need are your magazines, and we're going to start the process of looking for images. So for the next moment of time, what I'd like for you to do is to pick a magazine and go through it. And if an image appeals to you, tear it out and create a yes stack of images. Also, as you're going through the magazine, if there's an image that repels you or repulses you or that you just don't like, go ahead and tear that out as well and put it in your yes stack. So for this next experience, what I'd like for you to do is quickly go through the magazine almost in a dreamy, hazy, trance, meditative state and simply pull out images, pull out pages, and create a yes stack. So you may want to go ahead and pause this recording so you have enough time to get through your whole magazine. Once you're done with that and you have your yes stack of as many images as possible, then come back to this recording and hit play, and let's go on to the next exercise together. All right, so I have a pretty sizable yes stack of pages that I tore out of one magazine and one book, and I pulled them out really quick. And so now the next step of the process is to go through your stack of images that you just pulled out and start to sort them in categories. Now, in my workshops, I have image stations set up around the retreat center, and I have them in 4 main categories: people, places and things, animals, and backgrounds. Those are the 4 core ways that I categorize images for my workshop participants to play with. So that's one way that you can organize your images as we move into this next exercise. Another encouragement that I'd like to offer you, as you're going through your images and placing them in your categories, whatever they may be, you might have pulled out a piece of paper that had just one little image on it that appealed to you. So during this sorting time, it's an opportunity for you to just do a really quick kind of cutout. And that starts to condense and consolidate your image stacks. And then you can put your trash items aside. Now, one thing before you get rid of a piece of trash, you might want to turn it over also and see what's on the back and see if it's an image you're interested in. If not, go ahead and place it in your trash stack. If it is, cut it out and continue to integrate that into this sorting. As you're going through this sorting process, some of the categories might create themselves. You might notice that you have a lot of images that tie into relationship or love, or maybe you have other images that tie into nature, or maybe there's certain color palettes of images that start to form. So as you start going through the images, Notice how your mind and your intuition kind of categorizes things. And once again, this is done almost in a light trance. Not a lot of thinking or analysis or judgment about what's right or wrong. Simply going through the images, seeing what found its way into your creation stack, and finding a way to better organize this image process through into the next stage. So now that you have done an initial ordering and categorization of your images, now let's go a little bit deeper. Now start going through your stacks and see what images might want to be placed with one another. And you'll notice that some stacks call to you and have more appeal, whereas other ones don't. So start looking at the stacks that feel curious or repulsive, or they want to have a little bit of a deeper dive, and start going in and placing images, and you might see the foundation for a couple SoulCollage cards start to take birth. As you're going through your images, you might come across some that start to really speak to you. And so I encourage you with those images to do some fine tuning of cutting out white space, and even if you wanted to cut some unique markings in the image, keep in mind you might want to hold on to some of your colored scraps. So when you are creating a SoulCollage card and you're using your frame and you have your composition in place, you might find that there's little holes left over. So using your scraps to fill in those spaces will help you completely cover your SoulCollage card when you get to the part of gluing it down. So my recommendation is to hold on to your scraps until the card is completely done. Here's an image that I cut out with an X-Acto knife so I could get a little bit more of a playful edge. It's always nice to work with the edges in your pictures because it helps with layering. And so you can start to put images in the card and see how they interact. This strongly represents the value of these SoulCollage frames. It really helps you start to see how the images will look on a card. So I'm going to play with this voice, and I'm going to move images around and see what composition seems to have the deepest, energetic, visceral impact in my body. And so as you're making cards, this is part of the play process. And if you like something, you can work with the edges and layer over. So play with your categories and play with your SoulCollage frames and start to see what images want to come together. So take about 15 or 20 minutes for this part of the experience. Go ahead and place me on pause and listen to some music or sit in silence and really allow this process to create you. Allow the moment to step forward in an imaginative, creative, trusting way and see what type of collaged voices want to emerge through you in this moment. Once you have gone through your images and created a layout that you like in the frame of SoulCollage, now it's time to get this imagery on your SoulCollage card. What I do is I hold the SoulCollage frame down so I steady my table space. Then I place the SoulCollage card over that hole. And then once that's in place, I go ahead and hold the card down with my hand, and I lift the SoulCollage frame up and off. So now I can do one of two things. One, I can take the X-Acto knife and cut the edges, or I could take a pen and draw the edges and then use my scissors to cut. I'm going to go ahead and use my X-Acto knife for right now. So now that I have this in place, I'm going to go ahead and use my X-Acto knife to cut the edges. I usually do 3 edges only. That way I've got a 4th edge that I can use to compensate for whatever might need to be compensated for. Once again, I save my scraps because I might want to use those for filling in holes or doing different layering techniques. So once I've done that, now I have the images available to glue. And that's where your glue stick comes in. Once again, I try to err on the light side of glue, so I just put a little bit of glue down and I put the image on the card and I can slide it around. When I'm gluing, I try not to get too close to the edge. That way it's easy for me to do layering. So once again, being light on the glue and adding to it as you need it. Now there always tends to be little adjustments when I get to this part of seeing the images cut down. So just allowing the creative, intuitive process, noticing where different lines interact with one another. This is another opportunity to be creative. Once again, when I put the glue down, then I press down on the image and flatten it against the glue when it's landed. But because I was light with the glue, now I can go back in and strengthen some of those connections now that my composition is coming together. Once again, I used my X-Acto knife around some of the edges here. And what this allows me to do is it really helps me with layering. So I can place this underneath, or because it's been cut, I can actually add some of that tree image on top of this, and it helps make it less blocky, and it allows the images to flow with one another. As you start gluing your card down, you'll notice a lot of the edges will go past the card space. So I just flip my card over and I use my scissors and I trim up the edges. I tend to layer my images on my cards. So I'll do like the first layer and then I'll cut it down like this. So once I have that primary layer on the card, then I start playing around with some of the other small images. They might want to go in a little bit of a different spot once I get that foundation really glued down. Ta-da! So here is the card that came out of my SoulCollage creation. Once you've made your card, it's nice to have these SoulCollage covers that go around them. They are resealable, so you can always come back and make amendments to a card at a future date. They slide right in. And it's really cool because now I have a protected card. Putting the cover on even kind of brings the energies together. And now I can take this card out with me on hikes. I can cry on it. Little sprinkles of rain can get on it. And it is more durable out in nature ceremonies. And even just staying clean and protected. So now that you have your first card made, go ahead and take a moment to clean up your creation station a little bit. Throw away scraps, do a little bit of tidying and organizing. We're going to take this moment as an opportunity to move from this aspect of Soul Collage, the creation part, that intuitive creative aspect, and now we're going to move into a softening, and we're going to sink into this card a bit deeper. So go ahead and take a moment and clean up your area. And while you do that, let me show you a little bit of my creation area and how I collect and categorize my images and work with this medium over time so that when I'm ready and wanting to create cards, I have quicker and easier access to images in that particular genre. So let me show you my Soul Collage creation area. I'm blessed to have a lot of space, so just know that I also make Soul Collage cards in my RV, and I have just a little box of supplies with images, 1 or 2 magazines, scissors, some cards and covers, and I create with what I show up with. But let me show you the deluxe version of Soul Collage image storage. So I do have a table that is set aside for creation, and I currently have quite a few projects taking place. Underneath this table, I have my storage supplies. And so these are the 4 main buckets of supplies that I have. This first box is when I go through magazines and I see pages that have images on them that I like, I tear them out and they just go in here. So this is a box of images that are ready to sort. Then I have a second box. This one has some file folders in it like this. And these are for people. I have one for places and things. I have one for animals and backgrounds. So I take this large input and I start to categorize it into 4 main categories. And then I have these 2 bins that have hanging file folders, and this is where I start to sort them in more detailed categories for the chakras and tarot and other cards that manifest a lot in my life. And it's an assembly line, so I have input, consolidation into some main categories, and then more detail. So that's my Soul Collage creation station in my house. And so go ahead and complete your tidying up, whatever that looks like for you in this moment. And for this next section, what I'd like for you to do is to bring your card and also a journal or a piece of paper and find a place that you can settle down into where we can open up to the next part of Soul Collage, which is the I Am One Who journaling. So go ahead and put me on pause, take a few moments, get your journal, find your journaling spot, and then let's resume and go a bit deeper with the voice that is emerging through you. So now that you have your first Soul Collage card created, let's switch gears a little bit. Now we step away from our creation station and we work with the imagery and the voice that's come through this intuitive channel that we've been playing in. One of the powerful aspects of Soul Collage is that it engages and merges both sides of the brain together. It is theorized that the left side of the brain deals more with rationality and information and language. And it is theorized that the right side of the brain deals more with intuition and imagination and symbolism. And so by working with SoulCollage, we start out in that right brain side, opening to intuition and imagination as the symbols come to us, and we create the SoulCollage card without a language defining it. Now that we have our SoulCollage card created, let's bring some of the magic from the other side of the brain into play and start finding words and language, a voice that can emerge from this card. And through this channel of engaging the left and the right brain, it's a more holistic vibration that this SoulCollage medicine gets to welcome into our lives. And from a chakra perspective, once again, one of the primary maps in my world, SoulCollage is a tool that starts out in the brow chakra, where we're accessing images and symbols and metaphor. And now, as we start to find the voice and we start to journal with the cards, we bring that energy down into the throat, which governs communication and expression and truth-telling and finding our storyline and bringing that frequency alive in the world in resonant, beautiful, harmonious ways. And then also by writing it down and bringing it into the arms and finding that voice, we get to bring it down into our heart space and into a relational space. And we get to understand the imagery more fully as we use it as a mirror to peer into and name parts of ourselves, but then it's also a tool that we can share with other people in our relationships and our communication with others. So this journaling exercise that we're moving through not only balances the left and the right side of the brain, it also brings this symbolism down through this communication portal into a space of deepening relationship. A core aspect of SoulCollage is called I Am the One Who. And this is a tool that really brings a fundamental depth to this collage experience. It's one of the unique models within the therapeutic container of SoulCollage. And so I'd like to share a little bit about that component of SoulCollage with you now. So the I Am One Who journaling aspect of SoulCollage is a tool that encourages you to find the voice of your creation. And the main mechanism to do that is through first-person journaling. So in this experience of I Am One Who, we're going to take about 5 to 8 minutes to do a journaling exercise. And I'm going to go ahead and model it here so that I can showcase some of the aspects of this. And then you can put this recording on pause while you find a voice that is coming alive in your SoulCollage creation. So the I Am One Who is about working with the images in your card, getting into the card, and finding the voice in your card, and speaking in a first-person mode as if you were the card talking. So I'm going to go ahead and just ad-lib this. Now, one thing to keep in mind as you're doing this first-person mode, I am the one who I am, keeping your writings in I, rather than you saying the card is about XYZ, journaling as if you are the card speaking from an I place. And so, once again, I'll go ahead and model this. I am the one who lounges in the arms of time. I am the one who stands at the threshold of time's evolution through the season. I am the one who walks the labyrinth of life, seeing the blossoming that happens along the way in my body, mind, and spirit. I stand at a door into the unknown time of seeing. I am the one who evolves through the seasons. So go ahead and put me on pause and take about 5 or 8 minutes to journal. Now, as you're going through this experience, allowing just a free form voice to emerge, writing, transcribing what the card says through you. It's not about editing or being perfect. It can be poetic. It could be like a journal entry, like writing a journal entry for the card for that day in their diary. It can be a list. I am the one who. So, however, this voice wants to emerge through you, really the only guidance that I want to remind and encourage you is to keep it in first person mode. I, me, my, etc. So go ahead and open up and allow the card to express itself through your creative freeform journaling. I am the one who. I'm going to join you in that process, and I'm going to do a little bit of a deeper dive into my card and find my I am one who voice for my creation as well. So go ahead and get comfy and get your journal, and let's see what shows up. So now that you have an aspect of the card's voice alive in your frequency, I encourage you to go back and reread what you just wrote. In my workshops, we do this in a sharing circle so that we have an opportunity to speak these words out loud in front of witness council space. And that is a very powerful process. So if you feel called to share your cards and your writings with your friends and family and loved ones, I encourage that. It's a beautiful communication tool. Also, I do have a Facebook page that all of my SoulCollage community is connected through, and I welcome you to participate in that page and to share your card and your journaling with others that speak and honor and love this language as much. So hopefully I'll see you in that online community portal. And so let's take a moment to ground and integrate all of this information and this experience into a more holistic understanding of this tool. So, just taking a moment right now to come into your body and just settle into your breath, maybe even closing your eyes and allowing yourself to reside in this moment. Allowing the breath to be expansive and honoring this sacred prayer of life that you get to inhale and exhale. And seeing now in your mind's eye the images of your SoulCollage card and hearing the soft words that came through in your journaling. Sitting in the wisdom of this voice that is a part of you and taking a deep breath and knowing a sense of wisdom that this card has to offer you for your living journey adventure. What core wisdoms does this symbolism in your card offer you right now to bring into your life and to bring into your evolution? Embrace that wisdom that's coming through in your card and seeding this soul collage creation into your being as a resource and an ally for your evolution and your healing and your holing. Being so grateful for this time and this experience to be able to play and to create art and to access this intuition and this magic with so much grace and ease. Breathing deeply into this experience. Now. So that, my friend, is an introduction to the therapeutic and soul expression of SoulCollage. I am so honored and blessed to share this information with you and this tool with you that can support you in so many ways as you live your life adventure forward. So let me provide a short summary of SoulCollage and give you some guidance for how to incorporate this into your practice. First of all, you need to start collecting magazines and books and start to categorize images in a way that's meaningful for you. Having a little SoulCollage creation space in your home that supports you with dropping into card creating process whenever that feeling and desire hits. Once you have supplies gathered, you can create cards. You can create cards around a specific suit that we've explored in this SoulCollage medicine wheel. Or you can create cards in an intuitive way and see what emerges. It is good to create cards in all of these different suits, as it does support a wider embodiment of wholeness, not only in your deck, but in your life as you own and name and celebrate and honor the different aspects of you in these different areas. Reminder that as you are making your SoulCollage cards, to focus in on one voice per card. This will allow you to really honor the specificity of a voice, thereby being able to garner more of its wisdom and inspirations. So use the SoulCollage frames to help you compose your creations. And you can buy more SoulCollage cards through the Amazon link that I sent you to continue to grow your deck. And then another thing I want to point out is it's going to take you a couple of cards to get into the groove of how to compose them and glue them down and what's your style. And then also journaling about the cards. It will take you a while to open up to that voice and freedom that comes through each of the individual cards. And as you work with your cards over time, their voice may change and evolve. So today, my writing about this card had a certain frequency to it. Next year, if I pull this card in one of my daily readings, another voice might emerge, another texture, or a whole new perspective. That is one of the valuable things of not putting words on the cards. It allows the voice to still stay at a symbolic, mythological level, and at that archetypal level, the images get to evolve and expand with you a little bit more readily available so than if there were words. One thing I want to point out is as you're creating your journalings with the card, everything that is being said by the card is an aspect of your own consciousness. And that's what makes this so powerful. Sometimes some of these words and some of these reference points to our experience are challenging to access through language. So by bypassing that and accessing these metaphors for our life at a symbolic level, it opens up a pathway for us to attune more fully to their frequencies. And then we can find the words for them and have a dialogue with them. So that, in a nutshell, is the SoulCollage process. Thank you so much for going on this SoulCollage adventure with me. It has been a privilege and an honor to share SoulCollage with you and to be a channel of inspiration for you to bring this alive in your life. My prayer is that SoulCollage offers you a tool of creative art expression that brings you joy and that supports your evolution in grand divine ways. Thank you so much for living your life and having the desire to express it and learn from it and share it. Sending so many prayers out into the universe for a delightful adventure. I look forward to hearing from you about your Soul Collage experiences. My name is Raven Shri. The channel through which I offer my services to the world is Wild Soul Wanderings. Prayers and blessings to you on your journey. May Soul Collage be a valuable tool for analysis and expression and fun and joy. I am so grateful to welcome you into the Soul Collage community. You have officially been initiated. Mwah!